So now Roche is dead, Ghost is dead. Now we go over to see what's happening with Soap and Price, who we could hear over radio at the end of the last mission.
Ghost! Come in, Ghost! You copy?
So you know, so they were at a different place trying to find Makarov and got attacked as well. So we're going to join them halfway through.
Have to trust someone to be betrayed. I never did. Nikolai, come in.
So this is kind of like, you know, the story has totally unraveled now with like Shepard becoming the bad guy, and it just doesn't make sense. And this level is pretty terrible. It's up there for Brazil levels as terrible, I think, for a lot of the same reasons as we'll see. But yeah. So we're in Afghanistan, where we were trying to find any trace of Makarov. So you're just going to go run through these two fighting sides. But if either side sees you, they just start attacking you. So you just have these people everywhere. And for some reason, they decided to just have Soap by himself. Price is somewhere else, who knows where. You just got to run through it, and it's just an absolute mess. So I've played this several times before since I've played through this series a bit. So I kind of know what path works, more or less. But the first few times you play it, it's just like terrible wayfinding, terrible kind of pointing out to a player where they should be. You just have enemies everywhere, and it's just a bad level in so many different ways. So a lot like the Brazilian levels, you have enemies everywhere, and you're kind of really disorientated. You know, very constantly you have enemies popping up behind you and stuff. Also, like the Brazil level, you have no real point for being here. You don't understand why you're here, especially after the last mission where you're still kind of reeling from why they let a 13-year-old write the story. And then while this is happening, kind of important story moments happening with Price trying to get in touch with Makarov himself on the radio.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Of course, halfway through that important moment, you get killed. So Price wants to get in touch with Makarov to find out where Shepard is. So he's willing to, like, you know, be temporarily friendly with Makarov, the ultimate bad guy, just to find out where Shepard is. Like, that's how much Price hates Shepard right now.
You ever hear the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend? That's what they are going to find. That cuts both ways.
It's just such a mess, this level. Like, there is nothing enjoyable about it. It really highlights how this kind of game, you know, this kind of super linear, oh, there's a helicopter, this kind of hyperlinear, you know, do exactly what you're told or else the game doesn't work thing. For the game to justify that, it needs to make it super clear just what exactly it wants you to do. And if it's not clear, and if you can't make it clear to the player, then it's just going to be absolutely terrible. And this level is pretty much just case in point everything that can go wrong with this form of storytelling in a game. And also, like Brazil, I don't think I mentioned, you're all by yourself. You don't have anyone with you, like when you're Roche running through that level. You know, so you don't even have AI people supporting you while you're overwhelmed. You're just one person being overwhelmed by two armies. And the mission doesn't even give you a pistol, so like, you just kind of got a sniper rifle and an assault rifle, which are not a good two weapons to have to be running through a whole bunch of enemies. More good framing here though. You come through here, the game funnels you into this airplane, torso, whatever. and you see Nikolai's plane fly overhead, dropping his flares. So it's another good moment of like a rather open level, you know, taking a moment to direct you in such a way so that it makes sure you see something. Oh, I think I just hit an invisible wall. Did I mention this level's terrible? So far really, Modern Warfare 2 has been some great highs and some incredibly low lows in terms of level design and storytelling. Like, I don't think I could ever really forgive them for the whole Shepard betrays you rubbish. It's just too ridiculous. And moments like this in Brazil, which just don't make any sense. But then you have like the kind of great moments in Washington about that work really well. Oh, I guess I have one of these guns. Oh, convenient RPG. So this mission, it is interesting insofar as you join them, you know, in media res. You don't know what happened up to this point. You're trying to escape a place that you don't even know because you weren't here for the first half of a mission. But they just don't make that interesting. And you have like these kind of dead ends here. Like you're trying to get down there, and then you just end up here in this dead end. Which for a mission that's all about escaping quickly, it's just not the right kind of level design for that kind of flow. It just doesn't work well together. And then you run down here, and it does have this kind of nice cinematic exit once you do get here. You know, you finally joined with Price again. Your ammo count disappears, of course, here because it's just meant to be a run and gun moment, and how much ammo you have left stops mattering. Which some people might say, oh, it's unrealistic. So it does this thing that kind of forces you to look ahead of you. No, and then you look behind you again, you have all these helicopters and stuff chasing you. So it does a good kind of knowing where the player's going to be looking kind of thing. And then you have Nikolai's plane. That guy's Australian. An Australian flag on his arm. Never noticed. No. So then Rook gets killed, and you're kind of forced to take over the steering wheel and like steer onto Nikolai's plane as he takes off because he probably doesn't have enough fuel to stay here, I guess. So that mission is a bit of a mess, especially in its context right after Shepard betraying you, which never makes sense. So there's one mission left of the game now where, you know, Price and Soper on the run. They've been not framed, just kind of thrown out to pasture, I guess. And Shepard wants him dead, so therefore the US military wants him dead.
The healthy human mind doesn't wake up.
And Price wants to get revenge on Shepard, obviously.
But I think that's a luxury, not a curse. To know you're close to the end is a kind of freedom. Good time to take inventory. Outgunned, outnumbered, out of our minds on a suicide mission. But the sand and rocks here, stained with thousands of years of warfare, they will remember us for this. Because out of all our vast array of nightmares, this is the one we choose for ourselves. We go forward like a breath exhaled from the earth, with vigor in our hearts and one goal in sight. We will kill him.
So Price has this whole speech, which probably just ended him justifying a personal vendetta against Shepard. So we're not trying to save the world. We're not trying to save America or anything. We just want to kill Shepard because he killed our friends and betrayed us, and that's really it for this final mission. And it's a mission where you end up just killing Americans, and it makes no sense. It just makes absolutely no sense. And Modern Warfare 3 just kind of forgets any of this final kind of moments happened from Roche's death to the end of the game, except for maybe the last 5 seconds. As far as Modern Warfare 3 happened, this never happened. Which is probably the most elegant way they could have dealt with the mess that this is. But I will talk more about that in the next episode while I'm actually doing this mission. But for now, so in this episode we just had these 2 really kind of lackluster missions where suddenly Shepard's the bad guy. As an aside, I guess the reason they probably did that was they realized they wanted to do a 3rd game and they needed to keep Makarov alive, and suddenly they were lacking a bad guy. That would be my totally lack of evidence hypothesis. But anyway, more on that next episode. See you. Cheers.